Prime Minister Mark Carney, under fire, accused of breaking promises and evading accountability amidst financial scrutiny. Ottawa, on. Prime Minister Mark Carney is facing intense scrutiny and mounting criticism as opposition parties accuse him of continuing a trend of broken promises and a lack of accountability, reminiscent of the previous Liberal administration. The Prime Minister's refusal to table a spring budget, despite a significant increase in government spending, and his perceived evasion on questions surrounding his personal financial holdings have sparked outrage in the House of Commons. During a heated exchange in Parliament, the Prime Minister was pressed on his campaign promise of an $800 tax cut for Canadians, a figure that the Parliamentary Budget Officer, PBO, now indicates will amount to an average saving of only $90 per Canadian this year. This significant discrepancy has led to accusations that Carney misled voters during the recent election. Did this Prime Minister mislead Canadians during the election? Is he misleading them now, or both? Questioned an opposition MP, highlighting the frustration over the minimal savings. Prime Minister Carney responded by emphasising that the tax cut benefits 22 million Canadians who pay taxes, with 86% of that tax cut goes to those in the first two tax brackets. He asserted that for a two-earner family, the maximum tax cut could be up to $840 annually, dismissing the opposition's concerns as irrelevant. However, this response did little to quell the criticisms, especially concerning the rising cost of living. An MP from Calgary East retorted, "Coming from the guy that doesn't even do his own grocery shopping, he's bragging about a $90 tax cut this year when his government's policies raised the cost of groceries $800. The opposition continued to challenge Carney on broken promises regarding spending, tax cuts, and the reliance on high-priced consultants, while lamenting rising grocery prices, unaffordable homes, and increasing crime rates across the country, conflict of interest allegations, and financial holdings. The most explosive accusations during the parliamentary session revolved around Prime Minister Carney's alleged conflicts of interest and his extensive financial holdings. It was revealed that an entire department within the Prime Minister's office is dedicated to managing his conflicts of interest, yet critics claim there's no clear confirmation that a proper conflict of interest screen has been established. An MP from Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes directly challenged the Prime Minister. The former chairman of a multi-billion-dollar investment firm is sitting at the cabinet table and could be taking decisions that personally improve his financial standing. He's been Prime Minister for 100 days, but he's still jumping through these ethical loopholes. So why won't the Prime Minister stop hiding the truth from Canadians and come clean? What are your conflicts of interest? Prime Minister Carney, visibly irritated, responded, "Unlike the member opposite, I'm proud of having experience in the private sector. I'm proud of having experience helping to build this country. I'm proud of having filed all my requirements in advance before required, including a screen for the conflict of interest." This statement, however, did not satisfy the opposition, who continued to press for more specific details on the nature of his financial holdings and how potential conflicts are truly managed. The MP from Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes further accused Carney of doing whatever he thinks he can get away with, citing his vote for the Liberal ban on gas-powered cars, while his former firm, Brookfield, is heavily invested in the EV supply chain. Allegations of Carney previously using offshore tax havens in the Caribbean to avoid paying Canadian taxes were also brought to the floor, further intensifying the ethical debate. Grocery prices and inflationary policies. The rising cost of groceries remained a central point of contention. Opposition MPs highlighted significant increases in food prices, with beef up 34%, oranges up 26%, apples up 18%, and baby formula up 9% since the beginning of the year. This directly challenged Prime Minister Carney's previous statement to "judge me by the price at the grocery store." The Minister of Jobs attempted to deflect the criticism by referencing the opposition leader's living situation, stating, "It's a little bit rich for the opposition to be talking about leaders who don't buy groceries while they have a leader who's in subsidised housing not buying groceries." However, this did little to address the core concern about Canadians' struggle to afford nutritious food. The minister asserted that poverty rates have decreased since 2015 due to government investments in programs like dental care and affordable childcare, promising to build the strongest economy in the G7. Consulting fees and lack of budget transparency. Another major point of contention was the government's escalating spending on consultants. Despite promises to cut consulting fees, the Prime Minister's government is projected to increase them by 37% to a record-smashing $26 billion this year, translating to $1,400 for every Canadian household. This increase comes amidst concerns that Canadians have not received value for money from these liberal insiders. The Minister of Government Transformation defended the spending, stating that the government is reducing the use of external consultants while making sure that our public service has the tools and the expertise to deliver on the essential missions it has for Canadians. However, the opposition remained unconvinced, citing further broken promises on spending, tax cuts, defence, and now consultants. Concerns were also raised about the lack of a spring budget and the government's financial transparency. The Parliamentary Budget Officer, Canada's fiscal watchdog, has indicated he is in the dark about the government's financial plans and cannot assess whether their finances are sustainable, particularly with nearly $500 billion in spending announced without a clear payment plan. An MP from Newmarket, Aurora, questioned, "What exactly are they afraid Canadians will find in the numbers?" suggesting that the government is intentionally withholding financial details to obscure broken promises and ballooning deficits. The final moments of the exchange saw the Secretary of State for the Canada Revenue Agency dismissing the opposition's rhetoric as the same old politics that former member Pierre Poilievre of the Conservatives peddled for 2 decades in the ballot box, implying that Poilievre's past electoral losses invalidate current criticisms. The heated question period underscored deep divisions in Parliament and a growing chasm between the government's narrative and the opposition's demands for accountability and transparency, leaving Canadians to question the true state of their national finances and the integrity of their leadership.